Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel, and here we go with another small discussion video. So this is something actually that my mom and I have spoken about a lot. So I listen to a lot of music, and as you know, I'm very much so into filmmaking, love movies, love documentaries, photography, all that sort of stuff. I'm a connoisseur of the film world. And I wanted to talk about something, it's kind of funny actually, but so I listen to a lot of sad music. I listen to a lot of country music, I listen to rock music, both classic and modern. Same with the country music as well, classic as well as quite a bit of modern actually. And I do love orchestra music as well. And of course there's the big classics like the Beethovens and the Mozarts and all of that, but and that's very beautiful music. But even aside that, I don't listen to a lot of modern renditions of the classic orchestrated music, but I love film scores actually in a lot of ways. And you know, film scores are magnificent, and they definitely help put you in the moment and in the world that a film is creating. But if you just forget about the movie for a little bit and just listen to a film score, they're sort of underrated in a way, because a lot of times they're just such beautiful pieces of music on their own. If you just listen to the sounds that are created without it having even tons of influence on the movie. But anyway, so what I want to talk about is so the people that you know. This is sort of funny, I guess, in a way, and I'm going to mention trust a little bit, and it seems kind of coincidental since the Trust series with the art gallery just wrapped up not that long ago, but this actually doesn't have much to do with that. I'm going to be speaking of it in a bit of a different context. My mom and I always spoke about how to not trust somebody if they are not very emotionally impacted by sad music. And I think that's very true. I mean, most of the music I listen to is sad. There's very little sort of happy-go-lucky kind of upbeat music that I listen to. It's mainly, there's some of that, but mainly all sad music. And I mean, if you think about country, like that's like the epitome of sad music. It's so sad actually, it's been parodied and joked about for being sad for many, many years. And I want to add a bit of a twist to that, because that's, like I said, that's something my mom and I always spoke about, and a little piece of advice she always said, and I 100% think that's real and true. I am very reluctant to trust somebody that isn't that seems to not feel something from a very sad music or a sad song, you know, right? But I'm going to riff on it a little bit more. I'm going to take it to another level. I'm going to talk about how I think that applies heavily, but I think if somebody's passionate about music, even if it's not sad music, even if it's not a genre that you're into at all or can't really fully understand why somebody would like it, and it's not sad at all, I think you can still trust, like if they're still very passionate and really enjoy listening to it, and they seem to be gaining things from it, and it's like they are emotionally invested in it in a way, in a different way, even though it's not sad, but like they're very into listening to it, I think you can give that person a pass. I think it doesn't necessarily have to be sad music, but I will say that a piece of advice that I'd give to anybody watching this video is never trust somebody. Never, ever, ever trust somebody that isn't passionate about music at all. If they aren't impacted by sad music, but at the same time they don't really seem to care about music, you know, when you see somebody at a gathering or something and there's music going, or you're hanging out with them and you got music going and you're like, you know, right into it, and they just don't seem to be, nothing seems to be No emotions seem to be coming to them from this music, and it's not like they're like talking about a different kind of music that they like, or giving any song requests, or saying, oh yeah, you know, I'm not really into this kind of music, but if you put, after your songs or whatever, if you put this on, then I'll really like that, because I really enjoy this other kind of music. Like, if they just seem sort of cold and distant and non-reactive whatsoever about music, just in general, of any kind, even if it's a negative reaction. I mean, you can, like, if somebody's impacted by it in a negative way, like they hate the music or something like that, and they're like, oh, I hate music like this, or you know, I can't stand when people write songs like that, or whatever, then that is, like, they're still being affected by it, so it still counts as an emotional reaction to the music. But somebody who's completely cold and distant from it, I would not trust that person at all. I might not say anything, I might not bring this up to them, but I'm keeping that in my mind. Like, I can't fully, there's something off about you, you know, right? I can't trust that your intentions are pure, really, at the end of the day, at that point. And I want to talk a bit about movies, too, because I think that, okay, so I guess I sort of just went right into it on this one. But I think that any of the creative things out there can be a very large clue to where somebody is at. Like, their reaction to it can be a clue, or what they're interested in it can be a clue to where they're at in their life, and just a lot of aspects about their personality. Like, I think that if you got somebody, and like, I don't do this, I've never done this to anybody, or like, I wouldn't, it would be a little weird, but I do have a theory anyway, that if you were to get somebody to write down 10 of their favorite songs, or even if it's not their favorite songs of all time, just 10 songs, 10 pieces of music that you're really enjoying, like, these days, right now. Either 10 of your all-time favorite movies, or, again, just 10 movies that, and if they don't watch movies as much, maybe you can trim that one down to 5 or 6 or even 4 or something like that. But just a bundle of movies that you've watched maybe in the past year, 6 months, few months, whatever, that you really seem to be going back to and really enjoyed watching at the time, and that seem to resonate with you right now. I think that you were to have this list, and you were to listen to all those songs, you were to watch those movies, and you could add any sort of other creative things in there too, be it paintings, drawings, anything like that. Just get a small bundle of all that stuff too, and be like, what have you seen lately that has struck you in some sort of way? And so you've got your list, you're watching these things, you're listening to this music, you're viewing whatever it is, any of this creative stuff that they've got written down here. By the end of that, I think you would have a pretty damn good idea about where that person might be in their life, and you would also have a pretty good idea about just general characteristics of their personality, and what sorts of things that makes them tick. Like, you know, if somebody has a whole bunch of sad movies, for example, or melancholy kind of stuff, then you can almost conclude that this person's like very reflective and, you know, inwardly emotional and meditative on life and things like that. You know, if it's somebody that it's got a whole bunch of like action movies or something like that, where the characters are very stoic, and it's sort of like just fun entertainment for a while, or you know, all the main characters in it are sort of like avoidant of any serious attachment to things, and they're locked into this, you know, whether it be some military thing, or like police movies, or just some sort of action movie of some kind, and the characters are just really locked into that, and they're passionate about that, but they sort of struggle with these other aspects of life or whatever. And if that person really loves those movies and resonates with that, then they might not be like the very exaggerated movie characters, or do that sort of thing or whatever, but they might, what would you call it, empathize, or they they feel like that, like they're somebody who's like that in their life. Maybe they're locked into some hobby or locked into some job that they do, but they kind of struggle with, you know, opening up or expressing any sort of emotions in other aspects of their life, and so on and so forth. I actually think that if you had a bundle of creative things that people consume, and then you went and studied it, you would have a pretty clear, good idea of where somebody's at. But I think that because of that, you can actually, and I'm not talking about like making this very known verbally outwards or calling people on it or anything like that, or even fully not not accepting them completely. But when you're out and you're around and you're just studying the people around you, or you know, you don't know people very well and you're getting to know them and you're taking in information that you're seeing. So yeah, if music is being played, I keep an eye on their reaction to that. Or if there's a movie on, or you're watching movies with this person or whatever, I think you can judge a lot of character from that too. I mean, let's say if there's a comedy movie on and they don't, and you've watched like several comedy movies with them and they don't ever seem to laugh or find it very funny, and they don't have anything to back it up, like they're not like, oh yeah, I love comedy, you know, right? I find it very funny, but the movies that we've been watching just aren't really my style of comedy. I don't find them that funny. But you know, these couple of movies, if those were on, I'd be laughing my ass off, kind of a thing. But if they just don't seem to mention anything like that, or add any sort of input on what they would find funny, at least about it, if it were done differently, or on the complete opposite spectrum, if it's like a sad movie and they don't seem reactive to that either, and it's like not just like a movie that like just you think is sad, like it's something that universally should be sad to most people that watch it, and yeah, they just don't seem to care much about it, they don't seem to be affected emotionally at all from it, and especially if they don't laugh during a lighthearted, or kind of smile during a lighthearted scene in a movie, but then then at the same time when the really sad stuff starts to happen, they don't react to that either, then they start laughing at it and sort of making fun of it when that comes up. I would mark that. Okay, like, and might not say anything like I said or whatever, but in my mind I would mark that. That's not, I wouldn't trust that person. There's something a little bit wrong there. And yeah, just any sort of thing like that, just when it comes to creative stuff, just people's reaction to it, especially the sad things, and if they don't seem, nothing seems to get any sort of reaction out of them, they don't seem emotionally invested in any of it, none of the sad stuff affects them, none of the funny stuff affects them, they don't have any critiques on what they would rather watch, or what would make them cry, or what would make them sad, or what would make them laugh, or anything like that. They just seem to be like that. The nerves in them just seem dead and not firing when it comes to any of this stuff. I'd highly recommend keeping an eye on that, and maybe not disclosing too much information to that person, and being reluctant to share anything deeper, personal to them. And yeah, I wouldn't fully trust them. This is something that my mom and I always spoke about, like I said at the beginning of the video, and I just thought I'd throw that out there in one of these discussion videos, so that you have another approach to deciding where the people that are around you stand in your perceptions of them and in your life. And yeah, so I hope you enjoyed that video, and I hope it resonates with you, and that you do at least react to it in some way. And hopefully it was enjoyable, and there's some nuggets of advice in there for you. And I thank you very much for watching this video. Would love to read your comments in the section down below. Please come back for more.